17-year NFL veteran, Super Bowl winner, 3-time Pro Bowler, former All-Pro, decorated career, and the last of a woebegone era. Yes, that's right. Fullback extraordinaire, Mr. Larry Centers. And Larry, number one, glad to have you on board. Number two, you staying warm right now with how chilly this weather is right now? Because I know you spent a lot of time in Arizona.
I did spend a lot of time in Arizona, and I am staying warm. And good afternoon to all of you guys. I'm just happy to be warm right now.
I know that's right. All right, man, let's call it what it is. How surprised are you with where the NFL, considering that it's been a pass-happy league for the last probably half decade at least, and yet here we are right now heading into championship weekend, and the teams that ran the ball most effectively are the ones that are sitting there right now heading to a possible Super Bowl this weekend?
Man, I've seen this coming for a couple of years now. You know, it's been a concerted effort to devalue the running backs, and all the way back to Adrian Peterson. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty in these playoff games, as you mentioned, when the going gets tough, you need to have a solid running game in order to be successful in playoffs.
Larry, when you look at the teams that are left and you look at the quarterbacks, do you see any similarities in kind of how these teams are built and kind of these guys that are mobile quarterbacks nowadays?
I do. You know, right now the league has really evolved into the quarterback being a viable option in the running game. You know, I think that's contributed to the devaluation of the running back spot. But I think you also put your team at risk. If you get your quarterback injured, you know, the stakes are pretty high when you got your quarterback out there running up and getting his head taken off by some linebackers. But, you know, there's a different feel of the game, you know, with these mobile quarterbacks. Mahomes, who we have Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, Superman, and Jalen Hurts. You know, they're all putting in great contributions to their teams with their legs as well as their arm. And it'll be interesting to see how things play out, you know, not just this season, but as the league continues to evolve.
When you watch the Chiefs, when you watch, you know, some of the, you know, the Bills, maybe a little bit of the Ravens, you know, when you've got these superstar quarterbacks, obviously in your day, I mean, look, quarterbacks were getting killed and nobody thought twice about it. Obviously, the game's refereed at a little bit different clip these days. What do you make of how the NFL is officiated? And were you as up in arms about the way the Chiefs-Texans game was officiated as other folks?
Well, let me be clear off the top. I don't care as much as I used to, so I'm not going to get up in arms about what's going on now. But I do find it a little frustrating to the average fan, to being a fan now, to see some of these games being swayed by some of these close calls or, you know, objective calls where, you know, you hit him in the head, you didn't hit him in the head, and then you got to go back to the replay. I think it slows the game down. I really don't think it's good for the game long term, but I understand that, you know, everything these days is done in the name of player safety. And so I'm all for keeping players safe, but I don't want to sacrifice too much of the game that we love to do so.
Larry, when you look at this Dallas Cowboys team right now as they're headed into an interesting offseason where we're trying to figure out who the next head coach is going to be, who some of the different staff members are going to be. What do you see when you look at it from the outside looking at as their biggest need in the offseason, whether it be in the front office or personnel?
Man, where do I start? You know, there's quite a few things that need to be fixed over there with the Cowboys. I don't really pay attention as much as most people, but I think that you got to have some continuity in the leadership position. I think that, just like everybody else is saying, I think Jerry has a way of sometimes inserting himself into the equation when he probably needs to kind of hover on the outside and kind of let the team, you know, be a team without all of that extra influence. But, you know, as they get a coach in here, I think he'll have to hire a coach, a solid coach. I think it would behoove him to get somebody who's proven, obviously, and kind of let him do his job, get out of the way and, you know, get the pieces. I think they definitely need to address the running game. I think the quarterback, this is a prime time. You know, forgive me for saying this for all you Dak fans out there, but I think it's prime time to to get as much capital for Dak as you possibly can out on the open market. I think that window has kind of closed for him here. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to watch going forward. And I know Jerry will always keep something going on to keep us all entertained, though.
What's your read on a Kellen Moore and a Brian Schottenheimer?
I heard a little whispers about Schottenheimer over the last couple of days. He came in at Washington on my way out when I was up in D.C., his dad, Marty. But I think Kellen Moore is a good option. I think Kellen Moore has he has a good feel for how everything runs in the building. I think that would be an advantage in order to bring a guy who's familiar with the personnel and things like that. And I think he's a young mind that he's shown that, with some ups and downs, he's shown that he can be a very competent coordinator. And I think he deserves a shot, Kellen Moore. But Schottenheimer, I'm not so sure. I know he's been around. He's got some experience. But it'll be interesting to see. I'd like to get somebody in there that's kind of young. I think McCarthy might have been a little bit too old for today's NFL. I think a lot of the game has really passed him by. But it'll be interesting to see, man, guys, going forward. But what do y'all think?
Well, here's what I want to know, especially from a guy who played on the offensive side of the ball for 14 years, especially somebody like yourself who was a threat at the fullback position, both running the ball and catching the ball out of the backfield. If you've been in the league for 24 years and you've never been considered for a head coaching job, what does that say about you as a coach?
Well, I think that speaks to your overall lack of leadership skills or perceived leadership skills. I mean, some guys, I've ran into a bunch of coaches who were perfectly fine with being assistant coaches. They didn't want the headache of being a head coach or the pressure of being a head coach. But, so it's a lot of factors that could be involved with why a guy never got considered for a head job. But, I think it's a tough job, man. It's a tough job, and you got to have good assistants if you want to be successful, no matter what. So, I'm sitting back with my popcorn, man, watching it unfold every week, and it's high drama every year, and I'm enjoying every bit of it.
You spent a couple years in Washington. I mean, back when they were still the Redskins. What does it mean to you to see this Commanders team do what they've done and be able to turn it around so quickly?
Man, I'm really enjoying it. As a matter of fact, I was there when Dan Snyder was there, and I wasn't a part of this new ownership. But this new ownership group, Josh Harris and Magic and those guys, have done a really superb job of trying to create and cultivate a culture that's about winning. If you look around, you look at Magic after the game, hugging the guys, being hands-on. I'm an alumni, so I get some of the inside information on how the former players are being treated, and we get invited there every year. They've really done a great job, this ownership group, in terms of trying to put this team on the right trajectory to be a championship organization. And I'm here for it. I'm happy to see it happening. And, hey, hail to the Commanders.
So speaking of the Commanders, that leads right into what I was going to ask you. Do you think the Commanders making it to the NFC Championship, especially against the Eagles, two NFC East teams now making the Cowboys with the longest drought, making it to the championship round in the NFC side, do you believe this will be a wake-up call, a look in the mirror for a Jerry Jones and the Jones family in that front office, or do you think it's just business as usual? We're going to keep going on about our business. We're the Cowboys' most valuable franchise.
Well, I think I don't expect Jerry to change very much. I think he's been consistent in the way that he's done things over the years, and he's had some good years and some not so many good years. So I don't expect him to change anything. He's one of those old school type of guys that kind of likes to do it his way. So I don't think he'll look at the Commanders and shake up anything that he's done, or look at the Eagles for that matter, or anybody else in the NFC East and change what he's doing as a result of what's going on with them. It'll be interesting to see kind of how he handles this head coaching vacancy. But like I said, to answer your question, I don't expect him to do anything much different than what he's always done.
And you kind of touched on that with the head coaching vacancy. We've seen from some reporters mentioning that he could take a splash, kind of maybe a different approach since this might be his last head coach hiring. Do you see it that way, or do you think he's going to stick to kind of the coaches he's always done, someone who's familiar with the team, someone that's been a former head coach?
I don't know. I definitely think that he'll speed up the clock if there's any adjustments to be made, because I know that, time is waiting on nobody, none of us. So I think he wants to get, back into the winner's circle sooner than later. But I don't think he'll speed anything up necessarily. I mean, I think he will speed things up, but I don't think he'll do anything extra different than what he's always done, as I mentioned earlier. Jerry's he seems to be kind of a hard-headed type of guy that, like I said, likes to do things his way. And you can't blame a man for doing it his way. If you look at the past, he's had several good coaches, and Jimmy Johnson and Bill Parcells and guys who are proven in this league year after year. And for whatever reason, he wasn't able to coexist with those guys. So I think it's important for him to get in, because he's so hands-on. It's important for him to get a coach that he can be agreeable with, for lack of a better term.
14-year NFL veteran, Larry Centers, Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowler, as well as All-Pro. All right, real quick, last thing, and I'm dying to get your thoughts on this. You finished your career year 14. No better way to go out than with the Super Bowl. You won the Super Bowl with New England in 2003. How important was that for you as far as just, like I said, for you to be able to go out on your terms and win a Super Bowl after a 14-year NFL career? And how surprised were you after playing for Belichick to see him take his talent to the college game?
First part of your question, I was very satisfied to go out on top. I had played the game since I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I'd never won a championship, not counting like the district championships and things like that.
Right.
I'd never won the big championship, and went to the national championship in college and lost by 3 points. And so for me to be able to go play 14 years and then have the last game that I ever played be a Super Bowl and to win it, I couldn't have written the script up any better. So I'm super proud and happy about that. And to the second part of your question, how surprised am I with Belichick going to the collegiate level? I think it'll be interesting. It's ironic to watch Saban leave and to watch, who's one of the best college coaches of all time. And watch Bill come into the collegiate ranks, who's one of the best pro coaches of all time. I think that the dynamic of the NIL is going to somehow play a big role in this picture.
Yeah.
Somehow, how he's able to raise money with their collective and get players in. As we saw last night, Ohio State was the best team that money could buy this year, and they end up winning it all. So I think a lot of teams will try to follow suit and just go out and buy the best players that they can find. And it'll be interesting to see how Bill handles that. I don't see Bill as being a very effective babysitter. He will not be a babysitter. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
So I expect there to be some turnover if he gets some guys in there that are whiny babies and things like that. If they're crybabies, they won't last long with Bill Belichick. I can guarantee you that.
Larry, great stuff from you as always, my friend. I've been wanting to get you on here for a while. We'll connect here real soon, and appreciate your time as always, big man.
Yes, sir. Hey, I appreciate it, guys, and y'all stay warm out there.